Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is another day of Rocket League that has gone by, and this one, I think, another good day. Another good day, but not quite as good as the last day in terms of close matches. But yeah, a lot of fun was had, and again, another day that I didn't get to watch live, but I still, still a good showing, and I'll still be able to do a recap. I went through some of the highlights. Oh, if you are watching this back after the fact, if you're watching the VOD, I will. I think I'm just going to start the predictions right away. But if I start late, I'll send you, or I'll put in the first comment a link to a timestamp of some interesting. Like I might put timestamps of each match, stuff like that. So if you're watching the VOD and you don't want to watch the whole thing, I'll check the pinned comment. But yep, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let me check chat real quick. Who do we got? Who do we got? One moment. Sorting this out. Let's see. It looks like we got a viewer. So whoever it is, welcome, welcome. First viewer. So yeah, I think we're set to get started. I will throw this up and we can start talking about the matches. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that. There we go. There we go. All right, let's start talking about the matches. First and foremost, I definitely would want to mention... Aha! Welcome, welcome, Reppy, welcome. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very happy to have reached a big number, 200. For obviously I hit 100 before, but this is the second like big milestone moment. So a lot of fun. Let's get into it. I think the first match I want to talk about is Gen G versus Twisted Minds. So this was the only match I watched a little bit of live because I managed to catch it in my lunch break. I took a little bit of an early lunch break and I watched the end of the series. So it's funny enough, I actually started watching in this game 4. So in the middle of game 4, Gen G were down, but they were in the middle of the bounce back, and then they ended up closing out the series. So FaZe SSG, I'll definitely check that out. That'll be the last one. I think we'll go in order. Oh, actually, that's not the order. What was the order they were played? Was that the first match? It was the second match. Okay, we'll talk about that second. We'll go in the order they were played. I mean, looking at the scoreboard, it didn't look to me like the match of the day, but maybe it was. A lot of these weren't close, which is what I was getting at. This day was a little, not that it was worse than yesterday, but I think a lot of people preferred to have all the hype matches of yesterday that were close. And interestingly, that's now that we're talking about Gen G Twisted Minds, despite this being the closest series in terms of like of games, a lot of people thought this wasn't close because Twisted Minds was playing great until Gen G took a timeout, and then suddenly Gen G just looked the better for a solid difference. Team Vitality versus Moist Game 2 heat map. All right, I forget where to find the heat maps. Let me know where to find the heat maps, and I will look at it. So oh, thank you, Cole. Thank you, Cole. Oh, thanks. I actually really like this hat. I picked up this hat at the Boston Major, at Spring Major, and I'm glad I purchased it. I think it was expensive, something like $35, but I think it was worth it. It's a nice hat. The only thing is on the back it has like Boston Spring Major written, or I forget exactly what it says. But on the back, I feel like it's not really high quality. But the front looks nice. That's kind of what matters. But the back kind of looks a little like threadbare, like the threads are falling out. But let's see. A lot. Oh, you went there too. Very awesome. Very awesome. I was right. Do you remember G2 would do really well? Woolly Mammoth, I don't remember that it was you, but I do remember that someone. So I'm just obviously going to believe it was you. So yeah, you were definitely right. G2 did do really well. And for the record, obviously they went 3-0 in the wild card. So I didn't want to underrate them. I really believed in Rule 1. That said, now that, maybe this is crazy, but now that G2 did beat Rule 1, I mean, they definitely could make playoff. It's not even crazy to say, because look at who they're going to play. G2, if they lose to, and that's if they lose to Gen G, which is not a guarantee. If they lose to Gen G, they play FaZe or Moist. And I think G2 beat both those teams. So I think G2 are going to be in playoffs. So you were definitely correct. It's not a done deal, but G2 are very likely to make playoffs. Very, very likely. How is NA going to regain for next season? and you picked up a power jersey. Colt, nice. I noticed they had a ton of power jerseys at those booths, despite the fact that power was eliminated by the time, by the time all us fans got there, power was out, and they still had a ton of jerseys, which was pretty funny. But nice to grab their jersey. How is NA going to regain? I think North America is already regaining. Now, no, don't get me wrong here. I don't think they're going to win this world championship, but I mean, just from what we're seeing so far, I think they're having a better Worlds than they had Spring Major, and I think they're going to have multiple teams in the playoffs. Well, that doesn't actually sound that good. I think they could have 3 teams in the playoffs, which, although that sounds bad, that's better than the fact they only had 2 teams in the top 8, like the auto qualified for groups. Anyway, all to say that I think G2 is in the middle of a bounce back right now. But funny thing is, if you really wanted to know what would put NA on top, like what would make NA beat EU at next Worlds, I feel like it's just getting more imports, which a lot of North American fans would not want to hear. But I feel like if you took even more European players, clearly, no, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. I think that would put them over the top, but that's not the only way. I think it's just gonna take putting in more hours. That's the number one thing they could do. Let's see next comment. I'd love to see Cash, Joyo, Archie. I actually do think that if Cash and Joyo stick together, it could definitely work. I don't know if Archie's the right player. Maybe I'm a little biased because I was a fan of Endpoint when he joined, and obviously replacing Seiko is really big shoes to fill. But Archie did not impress me when he when he was on Endpoint. I do think he's an incredible player, and I do think it's funny that he's teamed with Jorius because him and Jorius share a similar problem in that I think they just struggle with and I could be wrong, but it seems from the outside looking in that Archie and Jorius struggle with a mentality, with keeping your heads high in the middle of series, and they get bounced out a lot in lands, or maybe it's just they're poor at lands. That said, I do think Archie is better than Jorius in that regard, and I don't. When you pair Archie with Joyo, maybe that's what it takes. Maybe you're pairing the player that sometimes struggles on land with the player that is always consistent on land. So that could very well work. And I think, if I'm being honest, Joyo and Cash might struggle to get a good third. I feel like Joyo's more likely to get a world-class team if he splits up with the Moist teammates. But not that sounds like I'm dissing on Cash. I love Cash. I just rated him really high going into the Spring Major, and then he hasn't done as great as I expected. He did good at the Major, actually, but he's on the whole, he's not doing as good as I expected of Cash. Terrible grammar. I don't know if you're talking about me or you, but my grammar's not that great either. So, honestly, I see Karmine Corp winning over Vitality. I think either Karmine Corp or Vitality could win. I think in my very first predictions, I might have had Karmine Corp winning. Either way, I definitely see a Karmine Corp win here. I actually think, even though I've mentioned this so many times, I see BDS beating Karmine Corp in a head-to-head. I think Karmine Corp has a higher chance of winning Worlds than Team BDS. And then, obviously, Vitality. So it's the 3 of them. I mean, any of the 3 of them could win. Itachi and Vatira. Itachi, actually, if Itachi continues to be the best on Karmine Corp, that's how they win Worlds. Because I feel like all 3 players are so good, and it's not that Itachi's bad, but I think usually this season, his teammates have been better. So if he's looking the best on that team, that's how Karmine Corp wins Worlds, is if Itachi, if they're all so good that Itachi's the best. But yeah. ACN, nice man. Thank you, Syed. Thank you. Oh, wow, I appreciate 10K. We're quite a bit away from that, but I appreciate the kind words. Oh, yeah, you see this? I have ball chasing up. Let me see. Mystic. So let me just Google what you have. I already downloaded some replays, but not the Vitality Moist series. As you can see, it was the Rule 1 G2 series. I have downloaded some replays for. So let's look this up while I keep reading chat. Or look up Zen. Actually, that might be the easier way. Oh, I had JNAPs in there. Whoops. And then it's, which one is it? 920. Let's see which one's 920. 52. 920, 52. Here we go. Okay, and then we're looking at the heat map. Heat maps. Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, we're jumping ahead a little bit, so I'm gonna come back to this, but I have it open. I have it open for when we get back to that. Um, okay, Hitachi peaking during winter. We're jumping all over the place, but we'll just start off chatting because it's really nice to chat with everybody. So Itachi peaking during winter was the reason Keycore won. I agree. That's actually I didn't even say it, but that's why I think they'll win Worlds is because that's exactly what happened in winter. And obviously Vitura won the MVP, and I think he was just at that same level as Itachi. But Itachi was looking like the best player in certain series, and that's what it takes. That's how that's the roadmap for Karmine Corp to win. Um, you don't think NA is going to win Worlds for the next 2 or 3 seasons? Well, see, that's what I'm saying, BFH. I don't know if that's what you want me to call you. I'll just call you BFH. Is I'm saying that if they get more European imports, that's how North America wins Worlds next season. And I say that half as a joke, but I'm also half serious. I do think if you got the right players, obviously, then they can win Worlds. So anyway, we'll see what happens. The only way they win without getting new import talent is if, again, they just truly grind. And I don't even know if it's healthy, the amount they might have to grind to catch up. Because it's not all about the hours, but if you put in more hours than Europe's putting in, you'll slowly gain, get back, catch up. Heard people who want to see him on Liquid replace a Chronic. Itachi replacing a Chronic on Liquid would improve Liquid, but I don't know if it would be a better team for Itachi. I don't know. A Chronic's really good. I would say I do think that would improve Liquid. However, I don't know if that's what's best for Itachi. I feel like his current team's better than that would be. But it would be a good team. It would be a good team. They would still be one of those teams making majors. It might elevate Liquid up even a little bit higher. Really want juicy upset amongst the French three. Now that they've lost to Vitality, I don't think that's gonna happen. It definitely could though. We'll see. We'll see. The ball heat map 2. Okay, Mystic, I'll check that out. Remind me when we get there. All right. Almost through these comments. Not. Nah, I ain't got a hot shot if they put some new rookies. Plus, if V1 gets in sync, maybe drop calm. So, actually, I didn't even mention it, but Woolly Mammoth has a good point. If the fabled roster of First Killer, Beast Mode, and Daniel actually happens, maybe, just maybe, they could win Worlds. Now, I have no idea how that would work because as everyone knows after this recent Roldiz drama, First Killer carries some baggage. Not to say that he will never win. I think eventually First Killer will win a major. I don't know about Worlds. Eventually, though, I would feel very confident that during his career, First Killer will win a major one day. But, hey, Fooney, welcome. I do think First Killer will win a major one day, and if he did, it probably would be with that Beast Mode Daniel squad, because all three are so individually talented that they could put aside whatever differences end up and just win. So definitely, I would say, I would say that would be the squad. Version 1 where you sub out Calm for First Killer, who actually commit to the game. As far as I understand it, Beast Mode and Daniel are committed, but I don't know their hours. Maybe I believe they're putting in more hours than Mist and Typical. That's for sure. So, FaZe are definitely going on groups away. You know what? Share this everywhere if I'm wrong, but there is no way. I'm jinxing it right now. There's no way FaZe make it out of groups. I don't think they beat Moist, and they definitely don't beat Genji or G2. So there's no way. There's just no way. Yeah, I don't even think they're beating Moist, but I'm saying that because I do think that there's a better chance they beat Moist than G2 or Genji, I'll just say it this way. That even if they did pull off the upset of all upsets and beat Moist, there's no way they beat Genji or G2. So, yeah. All right. Now we've gone through all that. Let's head back, recap, because now we have some more viewers that weren't in before. By the way, welcome anyone that's new, either new to the stream or just wasn't here when I said it. We're recapping all the matches today in the RLCS World Championship, the group stage we're in right now. Group B had their first day, which is day 2 overall of group stage, and we're recapping Genji Twisted Minds first. We already talked about it, but basically, Twisted Minds started off the series quite strong. They took 2 games in a row. Then Genji took a timeout, and they immediately started dominating after the timeout. Now, it was a lot of close games, a lot of one-goal games. 3 of Genji's 4 wins were 1-goal games, but they did look comfortable for a large part of the series after the timeout. I didn't get to watch the entire thing live, but I did get to watch some of this one in my lunch break. And yeah, I would just say that that's the long and short of it. So quickly before I dive into some replays, let's look at the stats to see if we can tell some story from this series. Coasting isn't going to cut it if Rolda's lack of commitment uh, need to be met. Uh, oh, incentivization. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, I missed it. That is a really good point. Um, which I ought to say it this way: when you're a pro Rocket League player, I think a lot of them should think more about the money than they do because it's a lot of money and it's for your future. It's for your family's future. So there's nothing wrong with going into it with the goal to make the most money. But if when your goal is to make the most money, you should be putting in the hours without needing incentivization to put in the hours because that's your job. That's why you're making all the money. And if you don't put in the hours, you're going to stop making the money. So that basically, if you truly had the mindset where you're just in it to make a living for your family and yourself, or just yourself, whatever. If you're just in it for the money, you should still be putting in the hours. That's the mentality I don't understand. If it really was just about the money, then he would be putting in the hours, which kind of makes me believe what Roldes was hinting at is that Sipical might just want to retire. Maybe he doesn't know it or he hasn't convinced himself, but subconsciously it's possible Sipical is just done with the grind. And then Mist is a whole different story. Mist has never grinded the game, and I don't understand it. I don't think Mist wants to retire. I just think Mist doesn't like doesn't like Rocket League, but likes RLCS. Um, all right, I got distracted again, but nice comment, Mystica. Yeah, good points. Good points. Mississippi, like I said, it's like both of them have no motivation, but I feel like it's for completely different reasons. I think Sipical's burnt out, and I don't. It's really hard to take a break and come back, but I do feel it's possible if Sipical took a split off and came back, maybe he comes back stronger. I don't know. It's hard to say. If First had better teammates, they could win Worlds. Well, I will say BFH First Killer. We've said that every split, and every split, not every split, but most splits in the past. First Killer, everyone's like, oh, if he only had better teammates. He gets an upgrade, and they still don't make it. He gets another upgrade, they still don't make it. Every time he's made a roster move, it's been an equal move or an upgrade. And yet, nothing's changed. The only time it was arguably a downgrade is when they replaced AJ, because pretty much everybody admits AJ should not have been kicked. So he's had upgrade after upgrade, and yet First still hasn't won. So again, I said it. I think First Killer will win a major one day. He will. I believe it. But that said, the fact he hasn't won one is definitely partially on him. It has to be said. It's not just his teammates' fault. He has some blame in it. Not all the blame, but some of the blame. Oh, FaZe being... Oh, that's a whole other thing. The whole G1 saga made me realize orgs have more of an impact on their players than we think about. So it's possible the FaZe behind the scenes might be impacting the players. I hope not, but that could be too. Maybe the org having all the controversy could hurt the players, mental, or who knows. I don't think FaZe was... I think FaZe has been paying them, so I don't think there's any money problems like that yet. FaZe might have money problems later, but yeah. Although the funny thing, Mystic, because you did say they were dying org, I do think FaZe will get bought out before it dies because it's such a valuable brand. But then again, valuable brand, how much is valuable? I don't know. BFH, I get what you're saying, and that's why I said maybe he'll team with Beast Mode and Daniel, but I don't think it's on his teammates. Honestly, maybe this season it is because they're both so low motivation, but it's not the skill difference, it's the motivation difference. So if you're gonna blame his teammates, I would definitely blame it on the fact that Mist and Sipical are not putting in the hours. Don't blame it on their skill, because when they both got added to the roster, they were highly touted skilled players. So yeah. Joyo, a chronic Tau. Oh, Ughug, maybe I misunderstood. Wait, were you the one that suggested that? Joyo to replace a chronic. Oh, okay, a different question. Okay, so now we're keeping a chronic, but we're subbing out Oski. I don't think that works as well. I think... Oh, and it's Joyo. It's Joyo instead of Itachi. I understand now. Okay, I think I actually like Itachi, Atao, and we're really going off tangent here, so I'll go back to this other page. I really like Here, let me open up Liquid's page just to talk while we're talking about Liquid for a quick second. I really like Oski, Itao, Itachi. I think that's a really solid squad. Obviously, if it's Oski, Itao, Joyo, that still works, but I think the playstyles might clash. Meanwhile, if it's Joyo, Chronic, Itao, that's probably better for playstyle purposes, but I feel like that roster is almost equal to the Oski one. I don't think subbing out Oski and putting in Joyo changes a lot. I don't think it changes a lot. In fact, like you said, it might not work. So why would you risk it? Because there's a chance it doesn't work. So why would you risk it? But that's an interesting thought. Hand first killer, some very good complementary teammates, and you'd finally be able to improve consistently. I mean, the interesting thing, Mystic, is I feel like first killer started with complementary teammates. He had Turin Turo and what was his name? Let's look at Rogue's history. We're going way back, but I know they weren't good players. Taroko, Turinturo, and there was a point where it was Gyro, right? Let me check this. 2021. Here it is. No, wait, never mind. Gyro replaced First Killer. Okay, so this squad here, you had First Killer, Turinturo, and Taroko. And now, don't get me wrong, everybody knows Turinturo and Taroko haven't stuck around the league, so I'm not saying they were very talented individually, necessarily. But at the time, I believed, and I still believe, that they were really solid rotational teammates to just give First Killer the ball and let him do whatever he wants. So he had at least one squad where they just handed him the ball, and he could do whatever, and they played around him. And that didn't work, so I don't know. Maybe you need better players than Turinturo and Taroko. That's a fair point. So if you put First Killer with like Garrett G and Calm, not Calm. Maybe you put First Killer with Garrett G and, oh, this is interesting. First Killer, Garrett G, and Justin. You just sub out Squishy, sub in First Killer. That doesn't work though. No, I take it back. Let's look. Who's available in North America? If we're just building a random squad. I'm gonna go back to this, and then we'll go to overview. We'll stick to we'll stick to players at Worlds just to look for a second. You know what? Random squad: Nolly, Nolly, Garrett G, and First Killer. What do you guys think about that? Nolly is a very defensive player. I think Garrett G is a rotational-minded midfield player that can play on both ends, and then First Killer in this instance would be the attack-heavy guy. I think that could work. Or actually, I see an AJ Beast Mode in chat. That would obviously, that's like there's two different things. Either are you building a squad around First Killer carry, or are you building an actual equals, like on a roughly equal footing to win Worlds type squad? And I think First Killer AJ Beast Mode would work on that. Potentially better than Daniel Beast Mode First Killer. Daniel is still an incredible player, but I actually am not so high on Daniel recently. I feel like if he was really, I don't know, it's hard to know. After version 1 has struggled, it's hard to know. Maybe he wasn't helping Space Station as much as we think, and maybe Arsenal and Reddles, who have stuck around the top, were better than people were giving them credit for. So, me and Vid. Well, I don't know what you mean, Destiny, but nice. Maybe you were in the video I just posted. If you were, awesome. 2 weeks till Gamers 8. Yes, Funi, that's coming up. It's coming up after Worlds. Is it 2 weeks? When is it exactly? It is the 24th, which is, oh, it's 2 weeks from Thursday. Okay, yes, you're correct. So, in my head, I keep thinking it's 3 weeks, but we're already halfway through this week, so now it's 2 weeks. Now it's 2 weeks. I've been thinking 3 weeks, but now it's 2. The time moves on. Wow, what a funny thought. Okay, we've gotten quite distracted. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back and leave a pinned comment telling people where the actual recap starts. But let's do the recap. Let's get into it. Oh, it's Thursday for you. I forgot. Yeah, it's so late for you. It's true. Oh, and I missed a big comment for Mystic. Genji have a strong proclivity to just pass the ball when they sense that they're in a situation where they can't score. Huh. That's a good point. I never thought about it like that, but they definitely, if they're struggling, they'll end long possessions with passes, with more passes. I didn't, now that you're saying it, I'm thinking about it. So I think you're right. They definitely do. And you know what? that comes from players who picked a team to be teammates. Well, that sounds like I'm being mean. Not to be mean to First Killer, but if you're picking a team based off who you want to play with as like a rotational squad instead of picking the strongest individuals, that's what you get. Because I feel like, picking up Chronic wasn't them trying to pick up the individual strongest player, although obviously they did think of very highly of Chronic. I think Abstract and Only just wanted a strong player that was going to play in their system, or at least that they could work a system out together and all feel comfortable with. So, yes, I keep saying, let's get into it. Let's get into, before I keep getting distracted, let's talk about the recap. So, we got Genji versus Twisted Minds. As I've already said, Twisted Minds started off strong, but after a timeout after the second game from Genji, they managed to not drop a single game. And although a lot of close one-goal affairs, Genji looked like the solid, they never looked like they were going to drop a game after that timeout. Well, perhaps after the Twisted Minds timeout, but even then, it wasn't even really that close. So, let's look at the stats here. And I do think the stats tell a little bit of a story. SMW continues to be a standout player on Twisted Minds, putting up a high rating. Meanwhile, Genji, Chronic looked great this series. He really did. He had a lot of goals, a decent amount of assists as well, a really high goal participation percentage. He's not like out saving his teammates. All the players on Genji are decently on saves. And that said, his shooting percentage wasn't like incredible, but also it was still pretty good. The most shots, but also making the most goals, so it made up for it. I'm actually curious why apparently Jack's rating is so low. I guess if I had to say, it would probably be goal participation percentage. And then Nolly, meanwhile, it was solid from all three. But you definitely could tell Chronic was a little bit, stepped it up a little bit more than his teammates. Meanwhile, I already talked about SMW, but I want to highlight that goal participation percentage. SMW is really piling on the goals and assists. Or actually, he has 0 assists. It really is just the goals. That's all from goals. So, a lot of offense out of SMW, and the shooting percentage was great. This time around, Venom struggled with shooting percentage. So, really struggles. You don't like to see 0%, especially on so many shots, nearly 2 shots a game. So, not so great. Senzo, also not a great shooting percentage, but not nearly as bad. And yeah, that's pretty much the stats. So, meanwhile, is there anything else I want to look at? Ground to air can be interesting. There's some things I don't look at a lot. So, Genji was more... Actually, not. Oh, yeah. They were more in the air than Twisted Minds, but it's not an incredible difference. So, let's look at speed. Speed, interestingly, Twisted Minds spent more time fast. They were supersonic more often. They were faster, more boosting. Apparently Jack was more supersonic than his teammates. Oh, thanks, SWAT. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. They're NA. Oh, are we arguing about Genji? The way I always see teams, and I treat like complexity the same way, is they are representing the North American League. So it is always fair to say North American team as long as that's what you mean. And I don't think you need to explain it the whole. Like, people should take you at face value. When you say North American team, you just mean they're representing the North American League, because they are. So you can always talk about them like that. But, nationality-wise, this is a European team, a British team in nationality, just because the majority of their players are British. But especially when one of the players is North American, you have to admit it's still a North American squad. It can be both at the same time. It's a North American squad in terms of where they're playing and who they're representing. But in terms of nationality, which is a separate category in my head anyway, they are European. So, in Carmine Corp. SWAT, yeah, you missed it. I said, and I still stand by it, that I think BDS have outmaneuvered Carmine Corp. I think they play each other so much. I just think BDS have their number. That's my personal opinion. Maybe a little bit of bias showing through, but I think Carmine Corp has a higher chance of winning Worlds, and BDS will still beat them. So, a little bit of a mind twister, but that's how I think. I think BDS will beat them, but that doesn't diminish the fact that Carmine Corp have a slightly higher chance to win Worlds in my mind. So, speed or pressure enough to fill gaps. That's a good point. Honestly, I actually haven't looked at this in any of these recaps until just now. I forgot this was a tab, and I just wanted to check it out. It doesn't really tell you a lot. I think what tells you more is compared to teammates. So which teammate was in Supersonic the most? For example, apparently Jack was in the most this series. That's I think that's significant. So I don't know what that tells you. I'd have to think about what it means, but I guess that means apparently Jack was rotating more. He cut rotation more. I'd have to watch it back, but that's possible. Same thing on the other side, except the opposite. Venom was Supersonic the least, so he was perhaps playing more defensive than his teammates. Um, in fact, we can look at that by looking at distance from the ball. So I assume Venom was furthest from the ball, and that doesn't check out. Actually, Senso had a higher average distance to the ball. So that's interesting. Maybe that just hints to Venom being poor, like poor play from Venom. I don't really know for sure. He struggled to pick up boost, maybe. That might be what it is. See you, BFH. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Weird triangle. Guess you do a better job of suppressing Vitality than BDS do, but Vitality... You said Vitality get ability by Vitality, and I know that was a mistake, but I had to laugh anyway. Of BDS. You know what's interesting? Because obviously BDS beat them once. So all three of them have beat each other. So it is a triangle that any of them can beat each other. But I do agree also that I would favor BDS over Karmine Corp. I would favor Vitality over BDS. And then I don't think I favor Karmine Corp over Vitality, but that one might be actually equal. So that's like the highest chance Vitality lose because it's like a 50-50. So... Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Swat. And you know, I didn't predict it to work that way, but obviously that's the way it happened, and it is unfortunate. The good news is whoever wins will likely play Space Station. Maybe I shouldn't say that's good news because, you know, maybe Vitality will lose, and that's very bad. That would be very bad news. But the good news is if everything goes as expected, I think Space Station is a better matchup than Gen.G or G2, in my opinion. So I think Twisted Minds or Rule 1, whoever wins, probably Rule 1, but whoever does win can beat Space Station. It's not a gimme though. It really could go the distance, that series against Space Station. So we'll see what happens. No, they didn't have Illusion. I don't know if that's a joke, Kings Warriors, but obviously Illusion isn't on the team anymore. Their coach, if you're talking about coaching, because Illusion's a coach now, it was Chrome has stepped up as their coach. But if we look at the players, it's the same three. It's been all season, or maybe not all. Has it been all season? Yeah, it has been all season. Same three. First killer, Typical, Mist. Now with Coach Chrome. I assume it's a joke, Kings. I probably should have just laughed. Yeah. It definitely one of their weaker performances. And you know what? Back when they had Illusion, they looked better. I still think to this day, I can't believe they kicked Illusion after getting top 4 at a major. Still shocks me. Less shocking than kicking AJ after getting top 4 at a major, but still. All right. I missed it, Funi, but you said who is playing tomorrow, and the answer is, if I go back to, actually I can just hit the back button, it is the upper matches. So all 4 of these, Karmine Corp BDS, Team Liquid Crew, Gen.G G2, and Vitality Space Station. We will see all 4. Honestly, we can just quickly run predictions. I'm still supposed to be doing the recap, and I haven't actually done it, but Karmine Corp BDS, like I said, I think BDS. It could go either way, but I would favor BDS. Very close. Gen.G not phase. Wait, who said Gen.G not phase? Gen.G! Oh my gosh. Kings, you're right. I completely misread that. I don't know why we were talking about phase so much. I just, in my head. Alright. That's on me. Did Gen.G have Illusion? I forgot. They were playing without Illusion as their coach. Mine's gone. I would say that I don't know, because I don't know. That is a good question. I wish I knew now. I hope they get him back, because I think it'll help them to have his steady presence back. In fact, let's just watch the replay real quick. And we'll see if we see him in a timeout. Yeah, he's there. All right, you saw that? All right, we confirmed it in seconds. He is back. Once I realized the question. Sorry it took me so long to realize what you meant. Let me see if I can find a freeze frame. Oh, they all picked Gen.G. That was correct.
Okay. But do you think the kickoff?
There we go. Freeze frame. Oh, I froze it. I keep missing it. I know it. Point being, he's there. All right. All right. Thanks for pointing that out, Okug. All right. Do predictions. All right. Let's finish the predictions. So, just quick recap. I'm gonna get distracted all stream long. By the way, if you are new to the stream, welcome. We're doing recap of the results of today, but I keep getting distracted and talking about other things. That is as per usual in the streams, but I hope you enjoy. And if you are new to the stream, I really appreciate it. Subscribe is the easiest way to help the channel grow, and it helps me grow, helps you get notified when I go live or put out a video. So, all right. Yeah. I agree, Spot. I have BDS winning, and I would say it's a close game, so probably 4-3. Yeah, best winning Game 7, perhaps a Game 7 overtime. And for Liquid Crew, I would favor Liquid, same as I predicted before the group stage started, but we'll say 4-2. I think Crew can put up a fight. None of these 8 teams that are in the uppers, they have 2 lives, all 8 of them could win. Even Space Station. I think Space Station has the lowest chance, and actually, let's talk about that now. I predict Vitality win 4-1, 4 games to 1. I think Space Station are just going to be outmatched, but it's not impossible. They can definitely peak, and Vitality could just have an off series. But the fact that they're kind of relying on an off series is kind of telling. So, not fully relying, but a lot of if Space Station wins has to do with does Vitality play well or not. So, we'll see. Meanwhile, this is probably the toughest one to call. I'd say the toughest one. I think these teams are very evenly matched. Well, similar to Karmine Corp BDS. I don't want to undersell how evenly matched they are either. But I'd say these two teams are very evenly matched. And probably Gen G. But G2 are back, man. G2 are back. I don't want to... Every time, before wildcard, I'm like, they won't make it through wildcard. Then they go 3-0. Then I'm like, they're gonna lose two series and be out of groups, and then they win their first series. So I'm just trolling on G2, underestimating them. So maybe I'll just pick G2 just so that doesn't happen again. So G2 winning Game 7 just because they definitely could just sweep groups. So G2 Game 7, we'll call it. But Gen G are a LAN team, and Gen G are much more proven, obviously having won a LAN than Rule 1. So they're definitely going to put up more of a fight than Rule 1 did. But we'll call it Game 7 G2. Alright, and that's all 4 predictions. Let's see, what did SWAT say? 4-2 Liquid and 4-2 G2. Okay, so everything's the same except I gave Gen G an extra game. So, very similar predictions, SWAT. Very similar predictions. Yeah, Vitality, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Vitality. They could... I think they're going to play well, but, in fact, if there's any series for Vitality to, troll, it would be this one. Obviously, that messes things up for Rule 1 or Twisted Minds, so you wouldn't want that to happen. I'm just saying, if you're Vitality, obviously you want them to lose now before playoffs, because now they still have another life. But, anyway. Alright. Let's finish this up. So we were almost done talking about Gen G Twisted Minds, and I think we will watch back maybe the very last game, Game 6, because Twisted Minds still got some goals in. So let's quickly watch back some of these highlights of this game. Hawkstar will peak. You know what? If they win, if Space Station does win, it'll be off Hawkstar peaking for sure. I agree. But let's quickly watch some of this back. Let me know if it's too quiet or too loud, this replay. Hopefully it's about right. Let's back this up a bit.
SMW keeping the pressure on. He's beaten Jack. He's looking for the
Chronic
bump,
gets
Chronic
a nice
jumps out of the way.
Oh, is this just a simple
in
open?
The forward half, looking for the bump.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's actually break this down. Let's break this down. So,
he's looking for the
starting out here, Chronic, I went...
jumps out of the way.
He beats him. Well, let's go back again. He wins a 50, right? Am I crazy? Or is it just a free ball?
Right there. SMW
no, it's a 50.
Keeping the pressure on. He's beaten Jack. He's looking for the
Never
bump,
mind, no, it's not a 50. So
way.
he gets a kind of lucky touch up the wall. Not lucky. Let me rephrase that. He hits the ball the exact right way, but what he's lucky is that none of the Twisted Minds players managed to get to the ball in time. Because it could have been random chance that one of them was in the way of the ball. It could have been random chance one of them was in the way of the ball. But, so... he gets it up the wall, and from there it's perfect play. He just goes for a flip reset goal, which potentially would have went in anyway. But in the midst of his shot, apparently Jack gets a demo on one of the 2 goalkeepers, and the other goalkeeper can't keep up with the flip reset.
For the
Goal.
bump, he does get it.
Venom.
Advantage
And it
for
kind of comes down to
Johnny.
Venom's play again. I do feel like Venom was the weakest player out of Twisted Minds today. So that was savable, right? Now, don't get me wrong. It's always hard to read Chronic on the ball with a flip available. So you have Chronic with the flip reset available. Obviously, that's not an easy save. But technically, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was physically possible to save that digitally. But Venom could have saved that. He just misread the play. And maybe it comes down to Venom was just the rookie on land. And I think now that they're in a tougher stage of competition, that's starting to show. That I think Senzo and SMW have a little more poise. A little more experience on land. Vitality is their smarts. Vitality players are very smart. And I think their coach Farah is really good about bringing out the best of his players. Better not have them feel like geniuses. Yeah. That's also why coaches are so important. I feel like what Farah does that's most important for Vitality is keeping Zen feeling good. Because, and I don't just mean like at the game. I mean, Zen feels happy and good about life and about they're all enjoying this experience to be at an RLCS LAN. I saw that firsthand at the Spring Major, obviously from the crowd, but like you could just see it from them on stage. You could see it from the way Farah was talking in the interview, from the way that Farah stands behind Zen. Farah is like a coach for Zen. Obviously, he's the whole coach for Vitality, but I don't know if you noticed, Farah is coaching Zen one-on-one during matches. Because I saw it because I was in the stadium, but he is standing behind Zen, and he is pretty much talking one-on-one with Zen during the games. Not like during the timeouts or all the time, but during the games, he is coaching Zen. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to see. So I definitely think that's part of their success to see that. Let's see. Do you think version 1 will win Worlds? No. If you mean Gamers 8, I'm assuming it was a joke, but if you meant Gamers 8, I don't think they win that either. Free ball, you have time. Oh yeah. If that's what you mean with the Chronic thing and on the wall, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it comes down to that. Com is so good. Maybe you did mean Gamers 8, SWAT. So I'll just talk about that. I think version 1 can make like playoffs, like top 8, maybe even a top 4 at Gamers 8. But I would favor like some of the stronger MENA teams, like Falcons Rule 1. I would favor Vitality. You were kidding. I'll talk about Gamers 8 another time, so let's not get into it. Work Spectrum. Do you feel Twisted Minds are suffering from mindset issues? Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I don't think the whole team is, but I think Venom is. I think Venom is still getting used to playing with these. He's never played on a LAN. He's never played like players from North America potentially ever. I don't know if he has anyway, or at least not with good ping. He's definitely, they've scrimmed European teams. I've heard, but it's one thing to scrim European teams on like really bad pings, so you have a little bit of like mental, like, oh, if you lose, it was chalk. The ping's really bad anyway, and you get good practice out of it. But when it comes to playing in these events, Venom is still getting used to it, and that is not a bad mark at all, like a black mark. Every player should get a little bit of a pass when it's their very first LAN. So give Venom a little bit of time to develop, and I think Twisted Minds will be even better moving forward. So better at start, yeah. Well, that's a good point, actually. I didn't see the second half of your comment, that they start better and then end poorer. It's not all on Venom that happens, but yeah, so it could be a little bit of the team thing. It's really hard to know what coaches do, especially when I don't like speak Arabic or know anything about Twisted Minds coach. I don't even know his name. Let's look it up. So that would be on their coach, in my opinion, not all on their coach, but the fact that they struggle with that, something maybe that their coach should work on is because, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach, because I have no idea how good or bad the Twisted Minds coach is. I have no idea. What I'm saying is, even if he's a good coach, there's always things you can work on. So one thing I assume the coach should work on is how to handle it when the other team calls a timeout, because he gets that timeout too. So he should be taking advantage of the timeout that the other team calls, and he needs to whatever he's doing, it's not working. So when the other team calls a timeout because they won 2 games in a row or 3 games in a row, he needs to change what he's doing. I don't know what. I'm not a coach, but he should probably look at changing what he does in the timeouts to better help his team mentally. Let's look at him real quick. Booty 44. Maybe I'm mispronouncing that. I'm curious just what he's done. Oh, he coached Vision last year, so this coach has been to Worlds as well. Yeah. I think he's been to Worlds. Maybe it was the wrong timing. I can't tell. Anyway, all that to say that it doesn't look like he actually went. So maybe it's his first World Championship as well. If the coach is just getting used to it, that's a whole different thing. So anyway, are those his results as a player? I can't tell. Anyway, I do think that they'll all get better with more experience. They all will. So, all right. Let's look back at this. SMW is Senzo has a lot of ice. I'm very glad I picked him as my one of my fantasy players. SMW, it is obviously he has his really great moments and his weaker moments. But that kind of makes up for it. That's why I am singling out Venom. It's not to single him out, but I do think SMW still, whenever he makes a mistake, he can make up for it in the very next play. Whereas I'm not seeing that out of Venom so much. Yeah, and this is not to like rag on Venom and say, oh, he's never going to be good. I think that's the whole point, is it's his very first LAN. This experience already is making Venom a better player. And obviously we're not going to see that improvement immediately, but just the fact that he's been here will help him later on, because he's going to see things at this World Championship that he's only seen in replays, like live, like during the match, and that's presumably, at least this is what I assume happens in pro players' minds, is going to formulate in his mind, and it's going to just, it's going to subconsciously, he's going to just play better. Well, it doesn't just happen like that. It's going to improve the way he practices and the way he plays moving forward. And as he improves the way he practices, he'll improve his play. So I think that Venom has a lot of room to grow. So yeah, he could be a player we keep talking about in the future. So Twisted Minds really twisted Gen G. I like the attempt at a pun. I think if that's what you mean, like they started off great, but then they just, back and forth, a roller coaster for Twisted Minds. But yeah, let's watch maybe one of the Twisted Minds goals, and then we'll move on. Okay, so they went down 2 goals, and then they bring it back a bit. But let's quickly go back. Who was this goal? This was apparently Jack. Let's walk it back a bit. Okay, yeah, this is a good spot.
Twisted Minds have suddenly gained a surge of confidence.
So Twisted Minds were out of it, and then with about a minute left, they started to come back in the series. They started to make some moves. They're only down 1 goal now with a minute left, and they're gonna tie the series. Right here, SMW. So let's back it up a little bit more and break this down. Senzo, really good beat. He beats out Chronic here. No, actually he 50s it. A really good 50. I think SMW has a good shot here, but this is more on what Gen G does. So let's break that down. Gen G make a bit of a mistake here. Apparently Jack grabs the boost. That's not a bad thing, but then he's going to turn, and he's stuck near post. He actually doesn't even turn. He just jumps. He just flips in the air. I don't know why exactly. Maybe he didn't realize Senzo had a good catch on the ball, so he misreads the play. Chronic is forced to 50, so there's not a lot to talk about there. It's like not a bad 50, but there's not a lot Chronic can do. He has to keep it from going mid. Meanwhile, it's possible Nolly gets bumped. I can't tell. Nolly gets bumped. Okay, that's actually huge. So Venom, this is one of the benefits of Venom, is Venom knows when to play that offensive rotation and be the guy bumping. That bump on Nolly is what helps seals this goal. So Nolly is out of the play. Chronic is out of the play because he just made a play with a 50-50. He's landing and recovering. And apparently Jack flipped himself out of the play and he's recovering as well. So all 3 players are sort of mid-recovery. And that means that the only one that can really make an attempt at a save is apparently Jack. But he was so out of the play that he misses. He misses the save. And it goes in. So, a great play. All 3 players involved. Venom with the bump, Senzo with the pass, SMW with the shot.
Real mistake in 4 games from
actually, I don't know if Nolly got bumped, looking at it from that perspective. But I think he pressured Nolly. He forced Nolly to make a play on the ball instead of waiting around. So, good from all 3. And then this was the end of the series, though. Let's watch it. Because Twisted Minds, they did this a lot. They had the game in their hands, and they end up giving up a goal they probably shouldn't have given up. So let's watch it back. The momentum is all in their favor, and they managed to kind of not toss the game, but
It feels
they
like
should have
Campfield is
stayed in
imminent,
it.
or is
That's
it
it there. It's a double commit.
One more.
So
How quick can the
you're in a
momentum shift
winning
and how
position here. Not a winning position, but you're in a winnable position. A winnable position here, and they're gonna end up double
quickly
committing.
has it shifted here
So let's
for
see
those
exactly what
watching at
happens.
home?
I see what it is. Venom. This is because Venom's a rookie here. I'm not saying this is a horrible ball to jump at, but if he's jumping at this ball, they need communication. And I don't know who messed up for sure, but SMW, this is Venom cutting rotation. He cuts rotation here, and it's not properly communicated. Again, I don't know who miscommunicated, but he cuts rotation not properly, not properly communicated, and they end up double committing here.
It feels like Campfield.
And that's really bad because I feel like that just shouldn't have happened. That's just Venom could have rotated back, or SMW could have not jumped at the ball, and it leads to this 2-on-1 here.
Can he make up for it? He's going the low 50s.
So Nolly gets a 50, Chronic. It doesn't even go in, but that was a shot. That was a really good shooting opportunity for Gen G that Twisted Mind shouldn't have given up. So then we keep going. SMW is forced to dribble it out. Apparently, Jack, because of the not so great dribble from where he had to start, SMW just gets a bad 50 with apparently Jack, and then Chronic gets another 50 towards the net. Nolly gets it off the backboard, and then Venom was involved in the play earlier, so he's not available for the save. Let's go back and check out where Venom got involved. Venom got involved here in the second 50 against Chronic. Senzo's jumping. When did Senzo jump? Because that's another problem. Senzo might have jumped too early here. It's like a lot of the little things. Senzo shouldn't have jumped for this. He just gets dusted by Nolly. So no individual player on Twisted Minds did anything terrible. But I do think this all stemmed from that play I broke down, the double commit. And I know you're like, what, that happened so long ago. But if Twisted Minds don't double commit in that like early phase, they're not under so much pressure. They were under a lot of pressure from Gen G because of the double commit. It put them all on their back foot, and they didn't have a lot of boost. So seriously, Twisted Minds, actually, I'll even say it. Not only was this, I take it back, because I said it was a close game until after the timeout. But like, this just goes to show you that these games were winnable from Twisted Minds, and the tiniest of mistakes cost them. That double commit, again, it's not the only reason this goal went in, but I feel like if they don't double commit, this goal doesn't happen. Even though that the plays were unconnected, the fact that they double committed cost them so much in boost and like field position that it led to this goal. Let me know if you disagree. That's like my random low-level analysis. I am not a pro, not anywhere near a pro, but for my analysis, with the benefit of infinite time to review this, that was where I feel the mistake was made. I would play even worse. I think it probably doesn't even need to be said, but I'll just say it. I am infinitely worse than all these players. So whenever I say they made a mistake, you can be sure that I would have made a much worse mistake 10 minutes or, whenever the series began, way before these players did. But anyway, let's look at chat. I saw a chant was posted. So they leaked the phase chant. Roll your diz, count your hours on stream. 1, 2, 3, 4 combined for the team. That's really good. That's a good one. I heard a lot of good ones on the Chalked podcast. I'm not gonna remember them offhand, but all the best chants are about FaZe, and I love it. They're gonna get to play their match in lowers with a crowd, and I hope the crowd chants all the FaZe chants because it'll be hilarious. Yep. All right. Okay. So Gen G move on. That took us a long time, but we're still going. We're going strong. That's the end of that. Gen G now plays G2, and Gen G the playoffs. It's definitely possible. I predicted. So I did predictions. I don't know if you're here. You were here, Swat. And we predicted G2, but it's definitely possible to go either way. Let's quickly move on to the next one, which is the team we've been talking so much about. It happened next chronologically, so I'll talk about it now. It's FaZe Space Station. And Space Station looked the better team for a lot of it. I didn't watch this live, so I'm just talking from replays and highlights. But, they popped off. And let's look at the stats before we jump into some replays. Did anyone watch the series live and have anything they really want to talk about? Because obviously, it was an interesting series. I think a lot of people predicted that FaZe would lose, but, no one knew it would be that bad. It was quite a one-sided affair. Oh boy. And actually, this is really indicative of how bad the series was. His first killer had a low rating, lower than typical. And I don't think that means Typical played well. Look at the shooting percentages. They all played bad. First killer, 7%, 7.6%, so we'll round it to 8. 8% shooting percentage from first killer? That is not a North American MVP performance. Again, this has nothing to do with him winning the MVP, but I'm just saying that he's won the MVP for the season. We know the level he can put up. He did not put up that level today. Not on 8% shooting. And it looks like there were quite a lot of saves out of Space Station. 6.8 a game. That doesn't excuse it at all. That is just poor shooting percentage. It doesn't matter that Space Station are getting saves. He should be putting on better shots so that they're not getting the saves. So, really tough shooting percentage from him. Meanwhile, the best shooting percentage was Typical with 19, and he did take a lot of shots. So, a good shooting percentage, again, on his team, but that's poor in the grand scheme of Rocket League. I feel like you should be shooting, unintentional pun, but when you're getting a shooting percentage in Rocket League, you need to aim for about like 20-25%. I feel like that's like average. I don't know the actual average for pros, but when I look at these stats, a shooting percentage of 25% or higher should be what you're looking for. Because sometimes people have a lot better than that. Sometimes it's a little bit worse, but anywhere from like 20 to 30% is in that normal range. And if you did 30% or better, that's really good. And if you did under 20%, that's a little bad. So a little bad from Typical, but much worse from his teammates. Meanwhile, on the other side, their shooting percent was all better except Arsenal, but like marginal difference from Typical. And he was taking a lot of shots. So yeah, just a better performance all around from Space Station, and that's reflected in the ratings. The lowest rating being a Hawkster with a 1, which is surprising to me that Hawkster had the lowest rating, but it probably goes down to goal participation percentage, because LJ, wow, I just noticing this. LJ had an incredible 90% goal participation percentage. That is a lot. That is a lot. Let me see. Ugh hug, another chant. Roll your diz. Count your hours on stream. Get top 4 or you're out the door because first killer runs the team. There, I see. There. I mean, you could start off a lot of chants with roll your diz. So, I like it. Yeah, I think that's enough from the stats. Just goes to show you there was a clear difference here, and it wasn't just the winning the games. Although winning the games leads to the stats, but there was no makeup stats from first killer this time. He just had a poor series. Welcome back, Fooney. Welcome back. We finally got through Genji Twisted Minds, and we are now talking about FaZe and Space Station. It's taken us a very long time to get through it, but we're here. So let's watch some of these back. I think we'll watch the overtime, the end of the first game, because the first game really set the tone for this series, from what I understood. And at overtime, like if that went the other way, maybe FaZe aren't out of it so quickly, And they won the next game, but I think this overtime had a lot to do with the way the series goes. So let's skip ahead a bit.
When he takes the field.
Actually, interesting to me, FaZe Clan had the lead, so let's see what they concede, and then we'll get back into it.
Is when he takes the field.
Gets that demo, he cuts rotation, and it's helped keep Space Station in possession. Trouble.
Having a bit laggy. Hopefully, it's not too laggy on stream.
A free ball, looking back to LJ, cut off by first killer.
They got tilted up first game, I bet.
Arsenal in the air. Redirect denied by Typical. The redirect.
LJ, solid. Was it a pass? I missed it. Okay. A good 50 from Hoxer. Another nice touch from Arsenal. Yep. So really, Arsenal puts on a, I call it a pass from Arsenal, but I believe it was going to go in, so it has to be touched by Typical. But because it has to be saved, it ends up going in. So let's watch this back a little bit one last time. I don't know if it was going in, but Typical thought it was his shot, so he went for the save. And meanwhile, because he touches like that, it's like the exact same as Arsenal passing it, and LJ is just wide open. So, solid. Let's skip back ahead to the OT. It's a long OT, so we're not going to watch the whole thing. Whenever you have a long OT like this, I'm sure FaZe Clan had a chance to score. So, you got to take your chances and make the most of them. And when you have 5 minutes, you always have a chance to do that. And so FaZe Clan really, the only people they can blame are themselves. So. Look at that from Mist. Okay, I'm not gonna like hawk on him too much, but when you have low hours, it makes you feel like you're seeing like that recovery. And again, actually he ends up getting a nice touch there. But that landing was so awkward, and I feel like missed on more hours. And I know he even played a lot of hours before the World Championship, but I mean, if Mist was consistently playing a lot of hours, I feel like he has a more solid landing there. A really random thing to nitpick, and I don't mean to nitpick the tiny things, but I really just to say that, you know, these players, you wish they were putting in more hours for their own sake.
FaZe
So.
relieves that pressure. Now FaZe want to put on some of their own.
Let's keep watching here.
Going for the read.
Sypical gets a beat.
Ball goes underneath him, and FaZe trying to keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, FaZe had some good offense here, but they also couldn't stay on offense. You get Space Station back on the other side of the field. Interesting from First Killer. But yeah, but he doesn't get anything done. You think First Killer would do more with the ball than just run into Hoxer and 50-50 it. Missed. A nice touch from Mist, but like, it's not enough. You gotta be communicating. You gotta be communicating with your teammates. That was almost a goal, but a nice save out of Sypical, I believe it was. LJ, another nice shot. So FaZe are getting, are solid rotationally, at least in this overtime. They had a solid rotation now. So I'm interested to see what breaks it. A demo, of course a demo breaks it. Another, a demo and then a bump, air dribble bump. So really, let's see here. It's, who got demoed? I can't tell. Let's watch it back.
But FaZe Clan doing
Is
a great
it
job
Sypical?
of keeping it locked and shut.
Sypical gets demo.
Already 5 minutes down in overtime.
Sypical's got to be watching for the demo. And then Mist, I mean, you can't blame him for losing a 1v1 air dribble bump. I mean, those things are always a chance they go in. And of course, LJ's so good that it just does. It just goes in. Mist has less than 200 games this season. A little over 1,000%. Yeah. Before he got to the World Championship, he didn't have his SSL rewards. I'm not saying a pro always has to play ranked. There's other ways to practice, but that's just crazy to me that he didn't have his SSL rewards as a professional player at the World Championship. And from a region that gets SSL games. Like, there are regions that don't get SSL games, so that wouldn't be surprising from every pro. But I mean, from a pro from North America to not have their SSL rewards is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. I don't think we need to see much more actually from this, so I think we'll just move on. Unless anyone really wants to watch it back. A solid performance from Space Station. I think that's overtime's indicative of the whole series. So, all right, we'll move right along to what one was next. It was Rule 1 G2, and I actually downloaded some of the replays for this. So I do want to watch from the replay perspective, and that way we can. Yes, the GC rewards. That way we can watch it and see, you know, more, like watch different players' perspectives. I'm experimenting with this because I haven't done this on stream before, but let's check it out. So I'm really quickly going to swap over because I had the game open. I was prepared this time, unlike last stream, and we'll start with game 2. So let's see. Game 2 was the only Rule 1 win, and this was in overtime, and we're not going to watch the whole thing. Let me see here. I don't have my controller plugged in, so this is going to be interesting. Let's watch Kalir's. I like that. We'll skip ahead a bit. A lot of saves, and then we get some goals later on. So this is nice because I can see exactly when the goals are. All right. Actually, I'm gonna watch. What am I doing? Let's watch the player view. Duh. That's the advantage of this, is we get to see the player views. Okay, actually, Mosen's gonna be a more interesting watch. Let's back it up a bit. So, Mosen here, he's just in a tough spot. JNap's okay. I think this was savable. I want to watch it back one last time and then pause it. Wait, what's the pause? I don't know what my pause button is. Is it enter? No. It's not. Darn it, I messed up my... It's not left click or right click. I keep going past it. Player view. Mosen. Let's go back a bit. What would be... Does anyone know what pause is automatically? Maybe it's left shift. There we go. It's left shift. Okay. And I paused it in the right spot by accident. Okay, let's talk about this. Let me see. Chat for a second. Oh, you said it. Left shift. Thanks. I'll hug. I heard G2 used Vitality's playstyle of a 3-man offense, which is why they're looking like old G2. You know what? We'll watch that. We'll watch their perspectives in a second. But I definitely feel like the old G2 was 3-man passing plays. So if that's what they're going for, that's great. What I think, and I don't know for sure, but I do think that it's a lot to do with out of the game things. As I said, I feel like they had a rough spring split. Now, in hindsight, I think it's because JNAP's had all those problems in his personal life, and I'm really glad that him and his family are okay, and now they're doing better. And I guess I should just say it because I never know if people have heard, but because I talked about it on previous streams and videos, but JNAP's his family's house burned down during the spring split, which is obviously very unfortunate. Thankfully, him and his whole family were okay. But it's never great to lose your house, and that's been a huge problem for their team. So I didn't know at the time, but I definitely feel like in hindsight now, that's had a major impact on how they played in the beginning of the split. Oh, Mystic, you might not have learned. It wasn't like super wide known, but it was, it's public information that it's been out there. So I feel like it's just taken him a while to get back to normal in real life, and that might have impacted him in the game. And when one player's off, the whole team might be a little off. So I don't know. I think that could be part of it, especially if you look back at their first regional in spring, where I feel like they played the worst. It might have been a big impact. And then, one regional can make you not make the major. But anyway, to get back into it, we're going to watch to see their 3-man passing plays. How can you watch these replays? Aha! Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, at least one person in chat knows because they sent me a link earlier to this site. But there is a site called Ball Chasing. I'm going to swap back. We'll watch that replay in a moment. But there is this site called ballchasing.com. I'm just going to open it up in a new tab. I opened up the logo. That's not what I wanted to do. Ballchasing.com. This is an incredible site that is completely free because of people that donate to the person that runs the site. Like they have a Patreon. I don't think I am right now, but I've been a patron of this person in the past. It's just a really nice site if you're a fan of Rocket League, because it's free access to all these things. You do not need to be a patron, by the way. I'm only advertising it because I know that they're doing this for free. So if you have the ability to support and you end up using the site after you've used it for a bit, maybe support it. But anyway, you can look up replays, and this isn't just pro replays. This is like anyone can upload a replay, and so there's this huge library of games that people have played in Rocket League. And obviously here on this stream and in general, a lot of people are interested in the pro replays. So if you want to look up for any pro, the easiest way I've found is just look up the player and click limit to pro players because they are marked with a pro tag. So for example, I'm going to do Rawas because it's easier to type his name, a nice short name. There's going to be all his games. So for example, he actually has already played a ranked doubles game today that got uploaded. Not every game is uploaded automatically. If you play a game of Rocket League, it's not on here automatically. But a lot of people will use Baki's mod, and there's a setting, I forget, like a plugin that is, there's a plugin on Baki's mod to automatically upload your replays. So a lot of people have that checked, especially at high levels. Like a lot of SSLs and GCs have that plugin and enable it. And then pro games end up put on this. Although actually, this is not the pro Rawas. It's someone that stole Rawas's name. So I take it back. This person's a pro, supposedly. I don't know who this is. Wikipedia page. Let's check it out. This is not a pro player. So ball chasing is a little buggy apparently. But I in general, just be aware. Like check for the actual Rawas Pro. It'll say this, and if he's playing with his team, it'll say Rule 1. And if it's an official RLCS match, it'll have RLCS referee that uploaded it. But anyway, you look for... So he didn't play a ranked doubles, by the way. That's the wrong person. But you look for these, and you can click on the replay and download it. So, for example, you click on this, and in the corner right here, there's a download button. You download it. You put it in the right folder. I'm not going to remember the exact path, but everyone has a folder somewhere in your personal computer's folder file directory where your replays are stored. It's usually under... It's not under where the game is saved. It's under like documents, then like my games, Rocket League, and then I'm not going to remember the full path, but you can look up how to do it, and you just stick it in that folder where your usual replays are saved, and then you can access it in game. All right, long explanation, but that's how you do it. All right, let's go back. Back to the game, and let me check out chat. Welcome, Jay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, you got to head off. See you, Funi. I hope you enjoyed. But yeah, no worries. I hope you have a good night. Let's see. All right, let's get it started. So, well, we already got it started, but let's unpause this. And this is a tough read. I do think that Mosin just expected the pass to not be so fast. So, yep, take care. So, not a huge mistake, but a mistake. He just misses the save. It was savable, I believe. Although a passing play is always hard to read. So it's not like this is an easy save. I'm just saying it was a possible save. So let's move on to the next goal. Actually, first let's watch JNAP's perspective. So a nice catch here, then a pass. Yeah, just a solid pass, and then we'll watch Atomic. This is what I like. We can watch all the perspectives really quick, and then we'll keep going. I like watching replays like this. I don't do it very often, but when I do, it's lots of fun. So a really simple tap in from Atomic. Nothing special. Now, let's keep it going, and I'll just keep watching Atomic for now. I'm interested to see how this next... It's a kickoff goal. How this goes for Rule 1. Oh, no. An own bump from Atomic, and then it's just set up for clears. So we're watching the right person, actually. So let's watch this back from Atomic's perspective one more time. He goes for kickoff. It gets bumped off of him. A complete accident, a little bit unlucky. Then this is critical. JNAPS hits the ball a little bit too far away from him. Obviously, very hard to do. That's not like a big mistake at all. But it's the tiniest of things, you know, when you're pro, tiniest of things. I think he hits it a little bit too far. If he kept it closer, he would have beat Rawas to the ball. Instead, it's a complete 50-50, and Rawas wins it. He wins the 50-50. Now it's dangerous. Now, Atomic only has 22 boost in net. So the fact that he chooses to go on the wall is because he only has 22 boost. He can't afford to jump up from the ground. So he goes on the wall, and because he goes on the wall, he doesn't get there in fast enough. So I don't think Atomic actually made a mistake. I feel like it's just an unlucky. This whole thing started because it unluckily went off the back of his car. And then a minute, tiny mistake from JNAPS. And of course, Rule 1 just played it perfectly. But let's watch that perfect play. Let's watch it from their perspective. To a little bit further back. So clears, goes and gets boost. Rawas, he watches his twin get the pass, and then he actually, I don't even think he gets the shot. I think this is all Rawas. So let's watch Rawas. Nice 50. Oh, so he gets 2 50s back to back and then sinks it on 0 boost. I don't know which one of them actually hits it in. I can't tell from this perspective, but a nice job from Rawas there. So now let's watch the end of the game. So now it's tied. It goes all the way to OT. Goes all the way to OT. There's a lot of saves. 4 saves in the OT, and then we'll just watch the end here. Nice 50 out of clears. Chicago's on the backboard, though. He's pre-jumping this. Not pre-jump, but he jumps early. And it helps. He beats JNAPS. He misses the 50 from Atomic, but Mosin is there. It's passed to Rawas. He hits it mid to clears, and it's just open. That's a nice pass. Like, look at this perspective. I want to go back a little further. He nabs the boost and makes a full circle, and then side flips. A really nice side flip to beat out the defenders. Now let's watch it from a different perspective. JNAPS, maybe? Okay, a little further. So he sees this is dangerous, and he jumps, and he actually was the most likely to make a save. I just don't think he was fast enough. He didn't have enough boost, and he wasn't fast enough. Now let's watch a different perspective. Chicago. He's the one that's just a poor touch, actually. I'll chalk it up. I think they lose this goal not because of anything JNAPS did, and it's not a major mistake from Chicago, but it's this touch. Mosin gets a beat, but it's not an incredible beat. It's really just that that Chicago loses the ball, and then he's out of the play. So, first goal. So we're not confused. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's watch it back. I don't remember what I said, even though it wasn't that long ago. So let's watch it one last time, and then we'll move on from this game. So if he actually gets this goal all himself, then he gets all the goals. I went back too far. Oh, yeah. What am I saying? I remember this now. Yes, it's all Rawas. It's all Rawas. Roas got 250s and then was in position to shoot it. So all on Roas. I think he won this game. So now let's change the replay though. Let's look at the game's 5. So a close series, but that was the only win Rule 1 got. Based on how they were playing, they definitely could have taken more series though. And let's watch this. Let me pick player view, and then last we're gonna want to watch. Is it Loza? No, he passed it to Roas. So we were on the right one. Let's go all the way back. I went too far. Roas. Okay. Let's see here. JNAPS almost scores. Mosing though gets. That's actually a really nice clear and a really nice demo from Clears. And then Atomic maybe makes a little too much hesitation, but it's kind of hard to do that there. So honestly, this is more on the clear than anything. So let's watch that clear again from Mosin's perspective. Oh, a squishy save. An in and out from. It wasn't a save, but it was a clear. So an in and out clear, a squishy clear from Mosin. And yeah, that's just honestly solid on him. And then we'll do one more because we really want to watch all of their perspectives here. From Clears to get the demo. It's a double demo. Was this intentional? You know what? It was. He turns into it. So a really good demo from him on Chicago, and that's what nets them the goal. Not the only thing, but a huge part of it. Then they go on to not concede for a very long time. They got a lot of saves, 3 saves in the midst of it. And then here we are with under a minute left. They're unfortunately gonna concede and end up going to OT. But they might not. See, I believe the 2 minute. Actually, let me pause this real quick to read chat. Do the 2 minute teams have? Well, obviously 2 of the 3 are playing each other, so that's what I assume why you're only saying 2. I think at least one will. I think you still got Falcons, you still got Rule 1 Twisted Minds. Whoever comes out of Rule 1 Twisted Minds has a decent shot at being Space Station. I think Falcons has a slightly tougher road. Well, the 2 of them have to play each other, so it's not an easy road. But I mean, one of them's guaranteed to win, and then they only have to beat Space Station, assuming Vitality closes out. So I do think that Falcons has the toughest road. So we'll see. I am very confident we'll still see at least one MENA team in top 8. I'm pretty confident. But we might not. Yeah, we might not see 2. We'll see what happens. The unfortunate reality is, I think even if Falcons can beat Secret, I think Crew is a tough matchup, and I predicted them to beat Crew, but it is very possible they don't. I think that one can go either way. So we'll see what happens. That opens automatically. Yes, I did use the manual process. I'll check that out. I've used Bacchus Mod in the past, but I haven't downloaded it yet on this computer. I've been meaning to for literally months, and I keep forgetting. It's because I actually don't play a lot of Rocket League anymore. I still play it, but just not very frequently, so I don't have ball chasing right now. But I need to get it. I need to download it again. It's like the most important thing to download after you download Rocket League, and I keep forgetting. So I'll get that, and I'll check out that plugin. Thanks for sharing, Kay. Oh, and welcome to the stream, Kay. I don't know if you've actually typed before, but welcome. One letter gang. Yeah, well, we got J and we got K right next to each other in the alphabet. Yeah, Mystic, you got way too many letters. The 4 X's that you have around your name aren't helping anything. But anyway, let's watch the concede here. I think I'll keep watching... Oh, wrong button. I'll keep watching Clears. It's under 30 seconds, which is so painful. You gotta imagine. Oh, he doesn't even see it. Okay. Let's... Actually, I do want to watch his perspective. He almost... It's that flip. That touch here is not great. So let's actually talk about it. He actually... Never mind. I take it back. It's a save. So it has to be done. Then he's avoiding the demo from JNAPS, and that puts him out of the play. But so there's nothing. I don't think there's anything Mosin could have done differently. I actually take it back. So now let's watch. Oh, that was Clears. There's nothing Clears could have done differently. So now let's watch Mosin's perspective of this. He shouldn't have jumped there, but it's fine. He gets full boost. He could save a shot from here, so I'm interested to see what he does with this full tank. Oh, he just gets beat. So he made... It's not a mistake because you want to have one of your players challenge the play. But by challenging the play when he didn't have a teammate in net, he left the net open. So it was a mistake, but it's not a big mistake. He thought he had someone behind him. And if he has someone behind him, then he should be challenging here. But he doesn't. So instead he challenges too early, and it gets right by him because he challenged too early. So not actually a lot to look at there. I will watch really quickly the Chicago perspective. Let me get back to it. We'll really quickly watch the Chicago perspective, but there's not a lot to talk about here. It really just feels like Mosin just again, tiniest of margins. He just committed to this ball too soon. So a shot here, saved out. He nabs the boost away, and then Atomic with a perfect pass past Mosin, and that's it. So, yeah. And that just goes to show you, actually, Chicago wasn't even looking when Atomic made the pass. He was not looking. So, good communication that it was a pass, obviously, behind the scenes. Let's see. Sunless Con confirmed it counts killers. Oh, you're right. You know what? I saw that video. The video with about the overtime, and it totally slipped my mind. It is supposed to be killers. My bad. I'll start trying to say killers. Although he did say... I remember in the video, he said, it's pronounced killers, so I don't know why everyone's saying clears. But if you want to say clears, I guess it's fine. So I'll say it the right way, though. I'll say it the right way. It's killers, so I'll say it the right way. But I'm glad that, I guess, killers doesn't mind that much if it's said the wrong way. Oh, yeah. Vitality won in a sweep, Jay. So it was a sweep from Vitality, but Moist still looked good. Or Joyo looked good, if we're being honest. Joyo looked good. Moist didn't look good, but Joyo looked good. So, yeah. 3 or 4 games ended in overtime? Yeah. I think, again, I don't think Moist did bad. I just feel like they had some weaker moments, and Joyo is the most consistent one. I still think they'll have enough in the tank to beat FaZe, though. I really do. I really do. So Mystic, I think what he was pointing out... Or wait, you were the one that said that. Honestly, at this point, I might as well just say clears, because clears is how the casters are saying it. And usually... Well, I guess they don't always do this, but usually they ask what the pros want. But, who knows? Who knows? Let's quickly watch the end of this, and then we'll move on to the last series before we wrap up today. A nice boom. Yeah. That's tough. So it looks like Atomic just gets a really good 50 against Mosin. Kaliers is out of the play, and Rawas has to make a squishy save. Let's see what happened. How did Rawas get there? Okay. Rawas is coming from really far away with presumably not a lot of boost. Let's actually switch to his perspective. Yeah. So Rawas is on low boost, coming in hot. So he can't slow down. The best play is for him to do this. I actually agree. I actually feel like Rule 1 didn't make a mistake. This is just one of those examples of where there wasn't a mistake. It actually was just an outplay from Atomic. Maybe the mistake is Mosin flipping, so let's actually quickly watch Mosin. I don't think this is a mistake. Okay, it actually is a slight mistake. Right here, he doesn't hit this the way he should boom it, and he's trying to boom it, or maybe he was trying to catch it, but he doesn't either. He hits it down the corner, and Atomic gets a free 50, or not even a 50, just a free hit. So unfortunate from Mosin, and then Rawas, if we'll go back to his perspective, this is an impossible position. He has to squishy save, and as much as we all hype up the in and out saves, they are always part luck. Not part luck, but he has to predict where the ball's going to go, and he just guesses wrong, which I think is part luck. So he guesses wrong. You never want to be in that position. It's an impossible scenario, and it goes in. So nicely done from Atomic to get that pass. Unfortunate for Mosin. A close series, but unfortunately, that's how it went down. And now we're done with that series, so I'm going to head back over to talk about the last series of the day, Vitality and Moist. Alright, well, first off, let me read chat for a second. How are we doing? Actual name versus preferred name? Yeah, I imagine you're correct. Intros of every main stage team at Worlds Rocket League made because some of them weren't the best. Some of them were good. I haven't seen all of the intros. The only one I saw, because it was posted a bunch of times, was the K-Corp one, because apparently everyone loves it, including Kamito, I think, liked it, the owner of Karming Corp. So that was epic. Oh, I also saw BDS's. I kind of like BDS's. The whole, like, the regains, like the fallen world champions regaining. I like that. I like that one. I think that, and this is my personal opinion, I think that they didn't have time to put. I think they wanted to make them all incredible, but I don't think they had time to actually make 24 incredible intros. I don't think they had time, because they had to make one for every team just in case they made groups, and I don't think they had time to make all 24. That's my honest opinion. That's probably why some of them are better. So some of them they got to spend the full amount of time on, and some they probably spent less time on. So, yeah. Nice. Well, I'm glad you liked Vitality's. I'll check it out. Maybe on stream at the end. Or maybe I can look for it right now. Do you know when it was on the show? Let's check it out.
Vitality. But we don't.
Oh, is this? Okay, let's watch it real quick.
That's about it. They are ready for this match.
They are ready to go, but they better be ready. On the other side, the hottest team in Rocket League is Vitality.
All right, we got it.
To be fair, like, if they think that we sold out, I mean, that's just their opinion.
I don't want to talk through the whole thing, but I actually want to pause it on this.
To be fair, like, if they think
That guy and his whole group, he had a group of people. They were the craziest fans for Vitality the whole time. Just so everyone knows, because they're showing this, and like you might think that happened like after they raised the North American flag. No. On the last day, like when they were playing Rule 1 even, those guys were going nuts for Vitality. So I think it's hilarious. I don't know if they came in Vitality fans or they what's it called? Or they were North American fans that just chose to root for Vitality. But those guys were going nuts the whole time. It was hilarious. Oh, is it not this one? Is it? I think it is. Well, let's
that we sold out, I mean, that's just their opinion, but we don't really mind helping NA to like have a team to cheer on. I don't think we have to win the crowd this time because a lot of French fans are gonna be here, so there are gonna be like so many people cheering for us. We just need to play our game. So it's always like this. When a team has like a kind of dynasty, people are gonna try to always like take down the dynasty and make one for themselves. So at the end of the day, we know that people are gonna try to beat us, but we know that if we play good, we should be better than them. Of course, we are here to win.
I don't know if that's the right one, but I like that. They're here to win. They're here to build a dynasty. And honestly, that should be exactly. I mean, it looks like Vitality are on the cusp of a dynasty. I don't think we've had a lot of dynasties in Rocket League, but the most recent dynasty was probably BDS during RLCS X, and then when Mark by 8 left the team, that was the end of that dynasty. So the last dynasty, obviously everyone knows OG Dignitas. They won back-to-back world championships, an incredible roster. KDOP, Turbo Pulsa, how am I forgetting? Violent Panda. I'm not forgetting, I promise. So those three names are all legendary. Everybody knows KDOP, everybody knows Turbo Pulsa, and everybody that was around for a while knows Violent Panda. All legendary names. I think that this Vitality squad could be that next level of that dynasty, and it'll be interesting to see. So let's go back. When was it? 10 minutes before the break? Right before kickoff? Or was it right before kickoff? Now I can't tell. Well, let's watch right before kickoff, because that'll be easier to find. No, it's not right before kickoff. So, let's watch the end of this series.
Of course, you too. Gibbs already said. Grand.
Guys.
Into goal. How much is he zoned? Group B now, we've got...
Annoying to find, but I'll try. Did they really just leave a decal of G2 up this whole time?
But you keep my standards, I ain't changing, never knowing.
3 words for you. Let them pray. That's what Moist has got to do right here, because this is the one matchup you did not want. You do not want to go. You don't want to play Vitality right now. They are the perfect team. They've never lost.
That's how I've always saw it.
I'm not sure it's here.
A huge up.
I don't know where it
Camera,
is,
not
guys. I don't think
we don't really mind
that was
helping
it.
NA to like have
That's the only one. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to find the thing you're talking about. I know what you mean. I feel like there was one that was more, not animated, but it was more graphically edited than just putting together clips. So, anyway, the rainbow decal, you know, I agree. I actually liked the previous season's decals better for G2. So, yeah. It's okay. Well, we can watch it next stream. Let's quickly wrap up, though, because we're getting to 10 p.m. We can take a little bit of time, but I want to wrap up the series. I'm not going to go and watch replays for this one. We'll just make it quick. Vitality looked dominant, but a lot of overtime. So let's look at the stats. Let's look at the stats, and then we're going to look at the heat map, because I don't know if he's still here, but somebody really wanted me to look at the heat map, and I will do it for them, and they'll see it in the VOD. Who was it that said that? I'm going to go back and find it. Mystic, you're still here. Great. Mystic's the one that wanted the heat map, and we will look at that. We will look at that. All right, stats up. First thing that jumps out to me is I thought Joyo was the most consistent, but I mean, looking at the stats, actually, it wasn't an incredible series from him. Cash had the best rating, but since they scored so few goals, I'm wondering if that contributed to the poor rating from Joyo. But yeah, it looks like Cash actually had a decent series, 100% goal participation, but again, full low goals. Let's look at the ball heat map. Okay. So, heat maps, and then where is the ball one? I don't know how to find it. Ball, here we go. Ball? Okay, I see what you mean. I think this is on stream, right? Look at that. That's something. I mean, there are spots on this map where it looks like the ball never was. Or at least it was there for so little time that it's like it was never there. The right corner, or is that, yeah, the right, Vitality's right corner? Nah. Just a smidge. The ball's effectively never there. A little bit, obviously, there were shots, but compared to the other side, I mean, the ball lived on the left corner I realize you guys can't see my mouse, but the left corner of the moist net, the one that's all orange and red, I mean, the ball lived there. Man, that's crazy. Interesting. Really interesting look at how much pressure. So, meanwhile, this is another indicative stat. The fact that almost 70% of the match, the ball was on the moist half of the pitch. Only 30% of the time was it on Vitality's side. So, I don't know why it considers Moist to have so much possession. I assume a lot of their possession was in their half, and then they got immediately dunked. So, interesting, though. Really interesting. And then if we look at the player heat maps as well, because I'm interested in the player heat maps, I think it follows that trend, though. You can clearly see that they spend more time in the back half, and especially in the back third. I mean, look at this. Joyo spent over half his time in the back third. Same for Cash, yeah, and same for Juicy. Juicy spent 60%. Meanwhile, they're only spending 13, 12% in that upper third. Vitality, complete opposite. Almost equal across the board with the most time in the midfield. They spent more time in the midfield than on defense. That's incredibly... So even though there were overtimes, Vitality had heavy possession. That actually gives me a lot of hope for Moist, though, because that means that Moist were defending well to be on defense so much, but yet still hold them off. So actually, that makes me feel even better about picking Moist over FaZe. I feel like Moist are going to probably beat FaZe. It's a good sign for them. A good sign for them that they could hold off despite a poor offense. We'll just put it that way. They had a really poor offense, but their defense was respectable. So a respectable fight from Moist. Let's see if there's any stark contrast between the players. Cash clearly more in the midfield than his teammates. And he was the most central. Joyo was ranging around the field. Cash was quite central. There's not a lot to go off the other players. I feel like Vitality was just so evenly rotating. Like you can tell how even they're rotating from these heat maps. So you'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. And another good sign is Zen is their defensive. It's always interesting to me. Zen is one of the players everyone knows is best in the world, but he's actually more of a third man type player. Obviously in Rocket League you spend time on all three parts of the pitch. But as you can see here, Zen was spending the most time in the back half of all his teammates. He spent more time back than forward. A lot of time mid, obviously, but he spent more time back than forward. So it's interesting to see him develop into that, being the person that is so good at defense and yet still is the best player on offense. That's just a really strong way to elevate your team. Oh, I missed a bunch of messages, so let's check it out. Looks like a slaughter during overtime. It was 85%. Yeah. And the midfield. Oh, yeah, I mentioned it before even seeing your message. They did contest the midfield a lot. And in the 2-goal game, Vitality had nearly 20 shots. Yeah, that sounds about right. Radosin carried on shot defense. Interesting. I mean, I always feel like I predicted before the spring major that Radosin would be number 2 in the world, and that wasn't just like a joke prediction. I really thought he was going to outshine Alpha. It didn't happen. I think that you still have Zen and Alpha looking like these standout players, but you know what? I think there's a lot to be said for Radosin being a top 15, top 10 player in the world, and that means that he would slot in, like he would be here at the World Championship even if he wasn't playing with Zen. I believe that. I think he's playing at a World Championship level, and that's incredible. I think he really is playing incredible right now. So, yeah, and the defense is incredible from him. Let's check out those stats again, because it should highlight that, presumably, with these saves. And yeah, he did have the most saves out of his team. They didn't need to make a lot of saves because there weren't necessarily a lot of... Actually, that's a decent amount of shots. 6 shots a game out of Moist, but double the pressure, double the shots out of Vitality. That is a stifling shot percentage when they're still shooting 20%. Interesting to me is both teams actually had what I would consider poor shooting percentage, because I mentioned it, that when you're a pro, you're shooting for above 20% shooting percentage, and as a team, they shot about 20%. So Vitality, you think they'd be looking for a better shooting percentage than that, and I have to chalk it up to the fact that Moist got a lot of saves. They were saving. They held on. They held on in defense. So a lot of promising, actually, from both sides. And that'll pretty much wrap it up. I know we didn't talk nearly as much about them, but I think that's all there really is to say about Vitality Moist without going into the replays, and I don't think we will. Actually, you know what? We'll watch one. We'll watch the very end of the overtime from the replay perspective. Sorry, not from the replay, from the match, from the
into something special here. I think when Vitality picked him up, not a lot of people expected the level from Vitality, but a demo.
We're seeing lots of
one's there, except Alpha going for it. Now pass off the corner. Joyo will tip it downfield. Zen
by the way,
hits it out to the corner.
Live, or if you're watching this on
collects on the dribble, gives it up though. Actually push that into Joyo, gets dunked on by Alpha.
And it also helps you get notified
space there
when
for
I'm live.
But here comes Vitality. Zen looking for 2 and a great clear from Cash.
A nice hit from Joyo. He's got almost in. Like, that could have been a goal. Let's watch that back.
Base there from Moist.
Joyo
here comes Vitality. Zen looking for 2 and a great clear from Cash. Gets to Joyo.
That there was a tough shot.
Joyo gets dunked on by Alpha.
Joyo could have hit it. I'm curious to see this one more time.
Base there from Moist, but here comes Vitality. Zen looking for 2 and a great clear from Cash.
That's a hard read. It's a hard read.
Cash.
And, I didn't see this. So that would have been an own goal from Radosin, because Radosin actually hit the ball last. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Vitality series without Radosin own goals. I know he already had an own goal.
He's got boost. This one's
he almost
going
own goals that one, but he doesn't. And
this is what the 3rd overtime we've seen in this series. There's a shot.
That's just Zen. Incredible
blocked
shot
again by
Zen.
Cash, who's been racking up the saves all series long. Big challenge,
Alpha,
2v1 now. Zen the last line back, gets the stop, it's the clear out, wide open net. Zen does it all for Vitality, and they 2v1 now.
Let's watch this one more time. Honestly,
this is
it feels like
the 3rd overtime we've seen in this series. There's a shot.
So, blocked
again by Cash, who's been racking up the saves all series long. Big challenge.
Zen is in a 1v2 situation, and somehow he turns it around and scores a goal. So, in a 1v3, really, I mean, look at where Juicy is. This is Juicy's perspective. Zen is in a 1v3. I didn't even think about it. It's not a 1v2, it's a 1v3. Joyo can go for the bump, Cash can go for the ball, and Juicy's there to get when Zen's forced into a 50. And yet somehow Zen pulls it off. Let's watch.
2v1 now.
Honestly, a good touch, but there's nothing special about that first touch. I think it's what he does
Zen the
afterwards.
last line back.
Cash misses, and then look at this pinch.
Gets the
Well,
stop.
it's not even a pinch. It's just he predicts that Juicy's going to dive on the ball.
Seen in this
He
series,
has
there's
the
a
vision.
shot.
Zen has the game.
Blocked again by
Zen
Cash,
has
who's
the
been
game IQ.
racking up
He
the
has the
saves
game-
all
yeah, the
series
game
long.
IQ.
Big challenge, 2v1 now.
Yeah.
Zen the last line back. Gets
Look at that. I'm watching it, and to me, that's not what I would do. That's because I'm not a pro. I'm not Zen. Zen, he goes for the immediate challenge or the immediate hit because I guess he just saw Juicy coming in. He also has better vision than we do. But he sees Juicy coming and honestly, that's a mistake out of Juicy to dive on that. But just look at the vision from Zen. He sees the lane. He sees the lane. And I feel like part of it is Zen. Everyone knows who Zen is. So honestly, I think the Moist players respected him too much. I think they should have went for a demo or a bump on him. It doesn't look like anyone went for it. So I feel like, yes, Zen played, actually he played that perfect. He gets the goal. But Moist did not play that perfect. I think they should have been going for a more aggressive play on Zen. Except Juicy. Juicy should have been the one not being aggressive. Because then Juicy goes too aggressive and Zen gets it past him. Because of course he does. And it's an open net.
the clear out. Wide open
nice series-
Zen.
a nice series from
Zen does
Vitality.
it all for
nice
Vitality,
series from
and
Zen.
they sweep Moist.
And you like to see it. You like to see it.
Moist had an opportunity.
Obviously,
The
Moist
magician
not
in
happy.
Zen
And we'll see if they bounce back next
shows
time.
his final act.
All right. That will do it, though. That brings us to an end. So we've covered all the matches today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you're watching again the VOD, I hope you enjoyed the VOD. Tomorrow, all the upper matches will be played. So we'll see Karmine Corp versus BDS, Liquid versus Crew, Gen G versus G2, Vitality versus Space Station. As I've already said, but I'll reiterate, I think BDS are going to win. I think Liquid are going to win. I think G2 are going to win. And I think Vitality are going to win. But this is kind of like a toss-up, and this one's a toss-up as well. So, a lot of toss-ups, a lot of hopefully fun, enjoyable gameplay tomorrow. And I will be again doing a recap same time tomorrow. So 8:30 Eastern time, I should say. Which I'm not going to remember the conversion, but you know, hopefully you can Google the conversion if you don't know Eastern Standard Time, EST. So I hope to see you guys there. I hope you guys enjoy the Rocket League tomorrow. And yep, I'll end it here. So thanks everybody. I hope you have a good night. See ya.